Hey everybody, welcome to the temple. My name is Monk Luigi. Thank you all for tuning in. And as you saw by the thumbnail, this episode is going to be about Mr. Bill Cosby. Now, before we get into this article, if you could, please go down below and hit that like, share, and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, so that way you are aware of when I'm dropping videos and letting everybody know what's going on with everything that I'm doing. Appreciate that truly. If you go ahead and hit that like or dislike or either one, any of those things. But let's just jump into this article because this was amazing. So we're going to switch in. Boom. If you haven't heard, Mr. Bill Cosby has been released from prison after courts overturned his conviction. Yes. Bill Cosby is finally free. I think after 3 years of being in. So I'm going to go ahead, go over this article, and then after that, I'm going to go ahead and give my thoughts on it and just pull from the scrolls. And remember, these are just my opinions on it. So let's go ahead and get into this article. This was published June 30th, 2021 from CNBC. I'm going to go into it. Now, there was a video indicating what was going on. I did not want to play it because I don't want to get hit by the YouTube algorithm. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the excerpts, and then after that, I'll just give my thoughts. Bill Cosby was released from prison Wednesday after the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned his indecent assault conviction. The state's highest court tossed Cosby's conviction as a result of an agreement he had with a prior prosecutor that would have prevented Cosby from being criminally charged in the case. The ruling bars any retrial in the case. The 83-year-old comedian was 2 years into a 3 to 10 year prison term. Oh, so it was just 2 years. Cosby spokesman Andrew Wyatt, who traveled to the prison to get Cosby, said, "We want to thank the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. This is what we have been fighting for, and this is justice and justice for Black America." This, and as you can see the photo here, as they went ahead and had the discussion. This is the justice Mr. Cosby has been fighting for. They saw the light, Wyatt said. According to NBC News, he was given a deal and he had immunity. He should have never been charged. Cosby was accused of drugging and molesting Andrea Costin, the former Temple University employee, whose allegation was the basis of the criminal case, at his estate in 2004. He was charged in 2015 for the alleged attack and arrested just days before the 12-year statute of limitations expired. He was sentenced in 2018. He has said his contact with Constant was consensual. Cosby was found guilty by a juror and now goes free on a procedural issue that's irrelevant to the facts of the crime. District Attorney Kevin Steele said in a statement Wednesday, "My hope is that this decision will not dampen the reporting of assaults by victims. Prosecutors in my office will continue to follow evidence wherever and to whoever it leads. We still believe that no one is above the law, including those who are rich, famous, and powerful." A written agreement by the previous Montgomery County prosecutors, Bruce Castor, said that he would not criminally prosecute Cosby in the Constant case. Castor testified that while he was district attorney, he promised not to file criminal charges against the comedian if Cosby would testify in a civil lawsuit that was filed by Constant in 2005. Castor had determined that the prosecution would have trouble corroborating forensic evidence without Cosby's confessing to the alleged charges. Seeking some measures of justice for Constant, DA Castor decided that the Commonwealth would decline to prosecute Cosby for the indecent involving Constant, thereby allowing Cosby to be forced to testify in a subsequent civil action under penalty of perjury without the benefit of his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. The court document said, Cosby testified during 4 days of depositions by Constant's attorney, and the civil suit was settled for more than $3 million in 2006. Criminal charges that resulted in Cosby's incarceration were brought by 2015 by Steele, who succeeded Castor as the county's district attorney. Castor is also known for defending the 45th in his second impeachment trial. I'm going to leave it at that. The Supreme Court's opinion also disagreed with the trial court judge's decision to let prosecutors call 5 other accusers in addition to Constant. Originally, the trial judge had allowed just one other accuser to testify at Cosby's first trial. However, after the jury deadlocked, the judge then allowed 5 other accusers to testify at Cosby's retrial. They made various allegations from unwanted touching to assaults to grapes of wrath. I gotta put in the different words. Cosby has denied these allegations of wrongdoing. This testimony tainted the trial, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said, even though the lower appeals court had found it appropriate to show a pattern of behavior. The court ultimately did not address the admissibility of the 5 additional accusers because it had overturned the ruling based on the agreement with the former prosecutor that prevented Cosby from being criminally charged in the case. So that means it went against the former agreement that they had. So that's interesting. Having identified a due process violation here, we must ascertain the remedy to which Cosby is entitled. Court document stated. Cosby's release prompted film producer, you know who he is. If you don't know, it rhymes with Steam, W. Steam. Legal team has issued a statement embracing the court's decision. Reversing the conviction of Bill Cosby, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has demonstrated once again that no matter who a defendant may be and no matter the nature of the crime, courts can be relied upon to follow the law and come to the correct decision, said the appellate counsel in a written statement. This decision also reaffirms our confidence that the appellate division in New York will reach the similarly correct decisions in appeal. I'm not going to say the word. Wine, you know what it is. Considering the abundance of issues that cry out for a reversal. Mr. W was sentenced to 23 that ignited the hashtag MeToo movement in the U.S. case mirrored Cosby's in many ways, with both cases relying on year-old accusations that lack forensic evidence. I find it funny that they're trying to correlate Mr. Cosby and Mr. Stein, wine and then -- Stein's cases to say that it's similar, and it's not. It was completely different types of things. One, there was actually evidence. Well, I'll get into that later. In many ways, with both cases relying on years-old accusations that lack forensic evidence. In both cases, the judges allowed prosecutors to introduce allegations by other women. Did not have separate charges against the defendant in order to establish a pattern of behavior. I could have sworn they had evidence against Mr. Stein, but whatever. Cosby's lawyers had challenged that testimony as part of their appeal. However, the court didn't decide on that issue, instead focusing on the prior agreement that barred prosecution. Powerful figure in Hollywood, Mr. Stein has denied any wrongdoing and is appealing from the courts in New York. I don't know why they keep bringing him up in this article, but whatever. Separately, Felicia Rashad, who played Cosby's wife on TV, was facing harsh criticism for words of support to the comedian upon hearing his release. Mr. Rashad tweeted that the court's decision was a terrible wrong, which was being righted. While Rashad has been supportive of her longtime co-star in the past, she recently took on a new role as an incoming dean of Howard University, recently reestablishing and renamed Chadwick A. Boseman College of Fine Arts. That's a really good name. Appreciate that. Much blessings to that school. With her new role in mind, some question how she would handle potential allegations of assaults brought by students. Linda Correa, a Washington lawyer who in 2017 sued Howard University on behalf of 6 then current students at the university for failing to respond responsibly to their complaints of types of violences, said she wasn't surprised by Rashad's tweet. Okay, that's a jab at her, but okay. She's always supported him, said Correa, whose client settled their lawsuit with Howard last year for undisclosed terms. I would say that I think that any statement that is contrary to recognizing the miscarriage of justice for those women who had the courage to come forward is not what student survivors probably want to see right now. And that ends that news article. First thing, my thoughts on this. I'm ecstatic. I'm glad that Mr. Bill Cosby is free from his 2-year jail sentence or imprisonment. It's an honor that this man of high status is finally back out. Hopefully he can just go ahead and relax and just vacate out. I know he's done so much. He's put out so much, and he's done wonders for many, many people of color, African Americans, whichever way you want to say it. He's done a lot, all right? A lot of positives. Now, in regards to the accusation, is he guilty or not guilty? Because that becomes the question. is he guilty of the crime of what Mrs. Constant is saying? Well, from what I've been able to find online, I haven't seen anything that admits him to being guilty of grapes of wrath or inappropriate touching of any kind. The only thing he's guilty of, and I'm going to show my sources. Of course, you know that I'm going to show you my sources as well as put them in the description boxes below. So check that out. And as well, again, if you hit that subscription button, we'll continue forward from there. From the deposition, and I'm going to show it here because I just pulled it up. This is Mr. Cosby's deposition from 2005 and 2006 when he was getting Q&A from the lawyers. Now, I'm not going to read this. I am going to scroll through it slowly, and I'm going to zoom in so that way y'all guys can see it for yourself. And again, you can check out in the description box below. Now, from this deposition, from what I've seen, the only thing he is guilty of is cheating. That's it, and giving out drugs. Now, if y'all don't know, during the Roaring 60s, or the Roaring 60s and 70s, drugs was the thing. All right, who wasn't doing drugs? A lot of people were doing drugs. In this instance, it was Quaaludes. Now, from what I was able to pull on Quaaludes, it was initially the history of Quaaludes was it was used in India as a counter to malaria. Okay, but people back in those days, they loved to abuse many types of drugs. So Quaaludes was just right there on top of the list. All right, it was a downer. It was used to go ahead and counter barbiturates as well, and everybody was using it. All right, I'm gonna switch to the article on that, but I want y'all to see this deposition from what he's saying. And as you can clearly see, right here, he was hiding many times where he cheated on his wife. And I think when you go back to the past where you saw that his wife just wasn't visiting him, wasn't speaking to him, and she just left. Because that's what happened. Even after he was released, his wife never returned. Is because he pretty much had to admit, as you can see in the deposition, that he was cheating. He was cheating on his wife. And during the entire time, Bill Cosby was not living up to the honorable bill of holding the husband and wife dynamic to its fullest. Okay? So if anybody is saying, and I literally just scrolled through that deposition for you, if y'all are accusing this man for assault and apes, y'all gotta show me some evidence of this. Because the entire deposition, he never admitted to doing any such type of thing, such acts of any accord. In his mind, it was consensual. And I know y'all gonna be like, well, just because somebody went ahead and, consented under the influence of drugs doesn't mean that that's consent. Fair enough. That is a fair argument. If that's the case, then anytime someone is in any type of sexual proclivities with any type of alcohol, then technically nobody could admit anything and everybody's assaulting each other. Because people tend to forget that alcohol is a drug. Okay? So if you take a sip of any alcohol, by technicality, that still impairs your mindset in some form, shape, or way. And it inhibits your mind to make any cognitive thought. Just a sip. Just a sip. Okay? And it'll be like, well, there's a difference between that. There's blood alcohol content. There's a BAC. There's a BAC percentage where you're impaired and inebriated. Well, as you can see from this article, Quaaludes, there's actually a dosage for how much Quaaludes you're supposed to be taking too. Because it was technically an actual drug used to defend against things. But people abuse alcohol. People abuse cake. People abuse many things in life where they're not supposed to. And sometimes people take it overboard. And then you don't also count in the tolerance level of other people. So like I said, I went through the deposition. He admitted to giving the Quaaludes. But as you can clearly see, and I'm not going to read all of this, I'm scrolling through it so that way y'all can see that this here They were like sleeping pills. They were like sleeping pills. People were. This was the drug, the go-to drug. This was the go-to drug. That was the Roaring 70s. The Roaring 70s.
Damn.
People loved using this stuff. And this one here is weak compared to, the other drugs that people were using. So this was a thing. So again, Bill Cosby, TV show, actor, the father, doctor, playwright, and all of that. Not an actual doctor, of course, on his TV series. He wasn't as honorable and humble as any other human. He was a normal human being. He wasn't a god. That's what I'm getting from what I've seen from his deposition. Literal Q&A from the other lawyer about where he stood. So look at what it's saying about the Quaaludes. There was an illicit market for Quaaludes that had been established. However, it continued to be fed by diversions for illicit supply chains. Like this was an enjoyable drug. By all accounts, Quaalude was a very enjoyable drug. It had a largely undeserved reputation as unusual, safe, medical sanctioned, and fun, which helped straight arrows like my relative feel it was acceptable to try it. So even the straight arrows, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. They was like, hey man, but do you do some Quaaludes? Yeah, I do Quaaludes. They was popping them like Tic Tacs. It was the go-to drug. And again, I'm not advocating anybody to use any form of drugs to try to start any type of relationship. Again, alcohol is a drug. Alcohol is a drug. So if you sip any alcohol, if you want to go by that logic, you sip any type of drink at all, and there's any type of sexual, physical altercations, you technically violated. They weren't cognizant, so they couldn't admit at all. If we go by that logic, but we know that that's not going to be the case all the time. Not all the time. And again, this is not giving an excuse at all, but we're being realistic. Can we honestly say that she wasn't doing it on her own volition? Can we? When this was the go-to drug of the 70s? Look, and I'm still scrolling through it. I'm still scrolling through this. There's a history behind this. And again, all of the articles that I'm referencing will be in the description box. It will be in the description box because I want you to see it for yourself. From what I've been reading, from what I've been able to find on my own, and what I'm showing you, I would say he was innocent. And sadly, due to the fact that they still, thank God, not sadly, thank God, because that it inflicted with a prior judge's ruling that you could not prosecute this man, he was able to be freed 2 years from the 10-year sentencing that they was trying to give this man. So with that, and I believe that Bill Cosby was innocent of assaults and rapes. Did he use his ability and influence to be able to woo girls into his nest? Yes. Did he cheat? Yes. He is a cheater. He is a liar. You can say all of those words about the man, but you cannot say that he's an assaulter or a rapist in any shape, form, or way, because if by the logic of, well, he gave her drugs, ergo she wasn't cognizant to be able to say yes to it, then that means that majority of people in the United States of America who goes to any bar, any club, and sips a single drop of alcohol in their system. And mind you, they're not just sipping a single drop. They're downing shot. Sorry about that. If they sipping shots, that means that technically they can't say yes. Technically, you could be charged for it as well. So I'm glad that the justice system was able to free Mr. Bill Cosby with everything that he's done. But hey, Maybe I'm off base. Maybe I'm hitting this one and it's coming to a short stop. Maybe Bill Cosby is guilty as come. It doesn't matter if it's alcohol or Quaaludes or whatever type of drug. If she takes any of it and she says yes, then you just assaulted and you raped it and you womanism, patriarchy, all of that. Any male, at any time. Or maybe I knock this one out of the park. Either way, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below. And please remember that this L is for you.